Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mass Retirees Weekly Update. Today's Friday, May 28th. I'm Sean Duhamel. Thank you so much for tuning in again this week. You know, today is the beginning of what's traditionally the long Memorial Day holiday weekend. And before we spend time with our friends and family and enjoy the long weekend, please join with us in remembering all of those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice on behalf of our great nation in protecting our freedoms. Mass Retirees has a long tradition going all the way back to our founding in 1968 and the service of Ralph White and a number of other founders of our association serving in the armed forces, and in the case of Ralph, serving honorably in the United States Marine Corps during the Korean War, but sacrificing on behalf of our country and coming back and serving in public service. I know that many of you, whether you are a veteran yourself or family and friends and loved ones, have served. Well, it's always been a great honor for our association and a tradition to make veterans a cornerstone of the focus of our association. And right now, for the current legislative session here in Massachusetts, we have two separate bills relative to veterans. The first bill we refer to as the Veterans Bonus. Now, this goes all the way back to 1957 in the aftermath of the Korean War. The legislature at that time created a veterans bonus for retirees that gets automatically added into your pension benefit when you retire. In fact, many veterans don't even realize that they're getting it until we point it out. Well, the amount of the bonus, the maximum amount of the bonus is $300 a year. And again, it's added directly to your retirement benefit. It doesn't stand out as a separate item, and it's not itemized or anything. It's just blended in. Well, that $300 has been the same amount all the way back to 1957. So for 60 some odd years, it hasn't changed. And we believe it's high time that something be done about that. We are now working with the legislature and with State Representative Jerry Paracella and State Senator John Velas, both of whom are veterans themselves. They are the co-sponsors of the House and Senate versions of this bill. It's the same version, but we've filed it in both branches. And what it would do is increase the veterans bonus from a maximum of $300 a year up to a maximum of $1,000 a year. So right now, the way the formula works is if you are a veteran and if the state or the local community that you work for knows that, it's automatically added to your pension when you retire. It's $15 a year for each year of credible service that you accumulate, up to a maximum of $300 at 20 or more years of credible service. So under our bill, it would increase that $15 to $50 a year. And again, this is a benefit that hasn't increased since 1957. So it's long overdue. There's a lot of attention on this, and we believe that we're going to be ultimately successful in increasing it. The second bill is related to this topic, again, for veterans. Back in 2004, the state law changed, the retirement law changed. And what changed is who is considered to be a veteran versus who is not a veteran. And there's a legal definition. And unfortunately, that legal definition was prospective in nature. So for anyone who was already retired before August of 2004, this new definition doesn't apply to you. So for instance, military veterans who served during peacetime under the old law, many of peacetime veterans were not considered veterans for retirement purposes. Some members of the National Guard, depending on when you served and under the circumstances and so forth, you may or may not have been a veteran. So our bill, which has also been filed by Senator Velas, cleans up that language. It makes the 2004 change in the retirement law retroactive to cover everyone who had already retired, who's still receiving a retirement benefit. So those are our two veterans bills. We anticipate that the public hearing before the Public Service Committee will take place sometime between now and the end of the year. Things remain a bit delayed because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And even though the situation's improving and the state of emergency here in Massachusetts is being lifted as of June 15th, we're still dealing with the aftermath of this. We're not completely out of the woods yet. And for instance, there has not been an announcement or a plan in place of when the Massachusetts State House is going to reopen to the public. There's a lot of considerations that have to be taken into consideration before they do that, and that would include in-person public hearings that would be taking place. So between now and the end of the year, we anticipate that the bulk of our legislation will receive a public hearing. Keep an eye on these weekly updates on our website, massretirees.com, on our Facebook page, and most importantly, in our newsletter, which everybody receives, for the latest news on any of the bills that we filed here in Massachusetts and at the national level in terms of the windfall elimination provision. And we'll have more to say on that topic in the coming weeks. I don't have new news on that. That's why we're really not going to include that today. We're going to talk about other things that are of equal importance. Now, speaking of importance and related to the winding down of the pandemic and the light that all of us see at the end of the tunnel, we are looking into restarting our in-person area meetings this coming fall. But in order to do so, we want to make sure that your health and your safety and your comfort is taken into consideration before we do anything, because that's really the most important thing, I think, for all of us. As much as I want to be able to see you in person and talk to you in person and look you right in the eye again, I want to make sure that when that day comes, we're doing so safely in a way that you're going to feel comfortable enough that you can come to a meeting, and I'm going to feel comfortable enough being at a meeting amongst hundreds of people in one room. We want to make sure we do it the right way. So in that vein, we want to hear your thoughts on this, and your opinions are very important to us. So contained within today's email blast, if you are a Mass Retirees member, check your email. Every Friday, we send out an email blast from me to you. It contains this video, and it contains a written explanation as to what's going on for this current week. And within that email blast today, we do have a link to a short survey to gather your thoughts and your feelings about coming to an in-person meeting. Now, you may be a new member who's never been to one of our meetings before. You may be a long-term member who lives in a different part of the country or around the world. You didn't have the ability to physically come to a meeting. That's okay. We want to make sure that we're doing something to reach everybody. So I can promise you that, for instance, we're going to continue with our virtual teletown hall meetings indefinitely. They've proven to be very popular, very successful, and it's a great way for us to be able to reach every single member of Mass Retirees, regardless of where you live, regardless of your ability to actually get out of the house and attend a meeting. Just because you're retired, that does not mean that you're not busy. I know many of our members have a lot of things going on, whether it's family obligations or jobs or just different activities that you're involved in. So you can't always have the time to get to a physical meeting. So take that into consideration when you fill out the survey. Let us know. We'll be making an announcement hopefully in the September edition of The Voice, which will be out by the middle of August, in terms of what our plans are for this coming fall. But if we can, we would love to be able to restart our in-person area meetings, maybe as early as mid to late September. You know, our annual meeting is scheduled to come up in September. Last year, we were forced to conduct the annual meeting virtually. But I know that Frank Valeri and our entire board, including myself and our whole staff here, would very much like to be able to hold that event in person this year. So with that, I'm going to sign off for the week. But before I do, let me take just a moment of personal privilege, as they would say. As many of you know, this is my 27th year working for you in Mass Retirees. And over that period of time, a great number of you have become like family to me. Many of you are close friends. Many of you have met my family, in particular my daughter Abby, and I am very proud to say that she is graduating from high school tonight. We actually record this video on Thursdays, so yesterday, once you see the video, on Thursday evening, she graduated from high school. I can't be prouder of her. You know, this past year, as tough as it has been on all of us as adults, it's been even more difficult on our kids and on your grandkids. Their lives have been completely turned upside down, and the end of her junior year in particular was very difficult. You know, proms got canceled, all the normal activities got canceled, they didn't see their friends, part-time jobs got completely shuffled around. But she's adapted, just like many other kids have adapted. She's had a tremendous senior year. I can't be prouder of her. I know I'm her dad and I'm supposed to say that, but it's true. She's heading off to college this fall in September. So it's a moment for my family to celebrate. We'll be getting together this coming weekend. Everybody's vaccinated, so it's an exciting period of time to be able to get back together again and safely celebrate with one another and celebrate Abby's achievements. So Abby, congratulations. I love you. And with that, I'm going to sign off for the week. Please enjoy the long weekend. Happy Memorial Day. And I know that all of us will keep those in mind who can't be with us and that we've lost in the past. So thank you so much. Stay safe. We'll be back to you next week.